Hey everyone, John here from the Embroidery Legacy, and I have found a new toy that I have purchased for digitizing. I've fallen in love with it, and I think you just might too. But before I show you, I have a favor to ask. Please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you're notified every time we release a new video. It would be very much appreciated. Now, before I show you my favorite newest toy, I got to take a step back, and we're going to go way back to the 1950s when my grandparents started their Schiffli business. They did yard goods, lace, and emblems for the embroidery industry, and they started with the machine that my grandfather is standing at right there. He's got a pantograph in his hand from a plow and Schiffli machine, 10 yards long, and as you actually move that pantograph, the machine moved with it. Now, that picture is pretty important to me because 41 years ago when I was 17 years old, that is where I began as well. I started working on that machine. I apprenticed under Schiffli Swiss masters, and I learned how to punch one stitch at a time. I was kind of born at that perfect period because after 2 years of working on that equipment, the technology in the embroidery industry just exploded, and I've been able to ride that wave, and I've fallen in love with how this industry has evolved to where we are today, which we are showing you these images on our software. Now, after 2 years of punching one stitch at a time, we actually got new equipment brought into our factory called a Digitrack. It was made by Melco. Melco actually had a 8-channel paper tape. We called it a faucet, and it was the first time ever that we could actually input on that little arm. There was a keypad, and we could actually input things like density and groups of stitches. And it was really something that revolutionized the entire industry, because instead of punching one stitch at a time, you could now put down a mark 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, and create an object, and it would literally fill it in. Now, I do have one little piece of nostalgia saved from that time. This is the original handle on my Digitrack, and even before that, I actually had this little piece custom made that went on here because I was kind of old school in that I had that old pantograph that had that little nail or spike on it, and we used to actually have that on a board, and we'd have a piece of paper on the board, and we would kind of mark where we were in the designs by pushing on that pin. It would put a little mark in the paper so we'd remember where we were. We also had one of these behind our ear at all times because a pencil by your ear allowed you to mark and draw as you were going along. There was no editing in those days. There was splicing of paper tapes, but this is where the industry really evolved. Eventually, I did get rid of the little adapter that we created, and I used the crosshair, got used to that, and tried to evolve with technology. But this was a real new innovation in the embroidery industry because we no longer had to punch or digitize one stitch at a time. Now, eventually, these big board-based systems that you actually put a paper draft on, they kind of evolved into the computer age where we adapted DOS systems onto an actual tablet. And we're not talking about the tablets that you might be used to these days. These were big mnemonic tablets or tables, and you can see that in our punch house in the old days, that was actually my working station right there. There is my little 4-button cursor that I have here, and I had a menu on that actual mnemonics tablet, and I would still put a paper draft on there, but I would be able to go to my menus and input the marks and then go to my paper draft that was on there, and I would be able to create my designs. And I was a pretty die-hard board-based puncher right up until the last minute. There were people in those days that had started digitizing using a mouse, but I always said that using a mouse was, for me, like trying to create with a brick in my hand. I was much faster on a board-based system with crosshairs, and as fast as my hands could move and I could click buttons on the menu on the side of my tablet, I could create designs. In those days, digitizing was all about production. If you were fast, you made money. If you were slow, you were poor. So we tried to be as quick as possible and I really never switched over to working with a mouse because an incredible thing came along first, and that was PC pen tablet technology. And I always have said that the pen is mightier than the mouse, and no pun intended, but I love picking up a pen. And when this technology, when Wacom came out with their Cintiq brands 21 years ago, I can't believe it's been that long, but this is when I knew that things crossed over from a board-based system to actually being able to draw on a monitor. So personally, I've never been a digitizer who has relied heavily on a mouse. I've always liked to kind of float and put my inputs in with a pen because it just made me faster. Now, keeping that in mind, everybody's different. If you've watched any of Ken's videos, he is a mouse digitizer and he is super fast and super accurate. And I guess he was just trained that way from a young age, and we can pretty much keep up to par. So it really depends on what you feel happy with. But I am still to this day a big advocate of the, PC pen tablet technology. Wacom was one of the first ones out of the gate. They're still around, but they are very, very expensive. In my digitizing, station that I actually work on day to day, it's a 32-inch monitor. They don't even make them that large anymore. They've discontinued it, but you can get other brands, and some of them would be, Ueon or X-Pen. There's a whole bunch of them out there. They are very cost effective. They are not, nearly as expensive as they were in the old days. So investing in technology sometimes makes your job more enjoyable and faster. Now, besides using my pen and my mouse, I've always used hotkeys. I love hotkeys, and it's no surprise that within our digitizing software, we have a very robust selection of hotkeys that you can memorize. Got to be honest, I don't have all of these memorized, but the ones that I use, primarily over and over and over again, I know exactly where they are. And there is a real benefit to being able to digitize, whether it's with a pen or whether it's with a mouse, but to be able to hit hotkeys to get around different objects within your software. One thing that we have tried to do within our EL program is keep it as uncluttered and friendly as possible. Everything is very strategically placed, and we don't have a million visual obstacles in the way. We wanted to keep it clean and simple, and that's been our number one objective, which I think we have really excelled in. But having those hotkeys available is also a game changer. Now, we have implemented newer technology like the one you see here, a Stream Deck, and I love the Stream Decks because those hotkeys that you use most often, you can actually assign them to your Stream Deck, and we've created little icons that you can download and input into your Stream Deck so that you can, tab through and back and use those hotkeys at the click of a button instead of searching around your different drop downs in your widget and finding properties. You can just hit that hotkey or hit the key on the Stream Deck and quickly get where you need to be. So all that said, here is my current system. This is what I actually use when I'm doing all of my educational tutorials within the EL Digitizer. I have a pen on one side, keyboard in front of me. I have the Stream Deck on the other, and this is the newest toy that is in my arsenal, and that is the mouse. This is a Red Dragon mouse. It is a 16-button mouse, and it has a ton of features that allow me to be quicker. Gotta be honest, since I put this into play, I very rarely touch my Stream Deck or my keyboard because everything I need is in both hands. Now, here's where I am a little bit unique, and it is a blessing, in disguise for me. I am a lefty. I'm left-handed, so I always, have my pen in my left hand, and I tend to float it on screen because on these pens there's little buttons for left and right click. I don't use those buttons at all. I actually will float my pen along the screen so that I can see my cursor moving, and then I have my mouse in my other hand and I will left and right click to do my input. So I'm kind of floating with one hand and left clicking and entering in the other. Now I'm going to give you a really quick overview of how I've set up this Red Dragon and why it makes it such a powerful tool. and it allows me to basically go with almost, seamless functionality from entering to backspacing to shifting to choosing stitch types, all at the click of a button. The only time that I might need my keyboard is when I have to type in a numerical value or do something, within my hotkey list that wasn't a primary tool that I felt necessary for 90% of the work. Now, because this is a programmable mouse, I'm able to look at all of the key settings that I have within the mouse, and I can assign whatever keystrokes I want. So within the number 1, which is marked on the side of the mouse, which we can see right here, I actually have that set up as number 1 on my hotkey list, which is a run stitch. And then number 2 is set up as a number 2, which is my classic satin. And then 3 is my regular satin, 4 is my fill stitch, number 5 I actually have as a steel, which is a fixed width satin, and number 6 I have as my artwork. So I've reversed those two just simply because of the amount of times I use the tools. The artwork tool is amazing because it's object based. I can create things, turn them into stitches, but all of my primary stitches are all at the side of my fingers so that I can toggle between a run and a satin and a classic satin and a fill just within those first 6 buttons. I have actually this one here, my number 7 key, is a shift, and shift I will use a lot of times within some of my hotkey commands, so I just have to hit that button and click on my keyboard. But the shift is also within our software great for moving things that are selected at 15-degree increments and for a lot of other tools that we have implemented in the software, so it's something that I use all the time. I also have control there for the same reasons. I have escape so that I can always, just hitting the 9 key, get out of a stitch application that I'm using and then choose another stitch very quickly. I have my space bar, and the space bar is awesome because within the space bar I can actually hit space, and then when I go to hit space, it will allow me to left click, hit space, and I can pan over in my design. So that is a really, really cool function, because when I hit space, the hand comes up and I can do that on my keyboard. Now all I have to do is hit the 9 key on my actual mouse, and as I'm moving along, I do the same thing. I hit that and I can move, and I'm not even taking my hand off of my mouse to pan around the design. Then we have number 11, which is my control +6 for 6 to 1, and then I have my delete key. On number 13, that's just my left click, my right click. I have number 15 as a backspace, so if I'm digitizing and I don't like something, that little scroll wheel will zoom in and out, but I can also just tap on that wheel and it will backspace my inputs. And then of course number 16 is my enter. So everything that I need to digitize a design, if I hit that 1, it'll just go to a run stitch, and then I can enter, and then if I hit 2, it goes to classic satin, and I can just go from there and input that and hit enter, and then I can go back to number 1 and go back to a regular run stitch, hit enter, and everything along the way is all set up so that I can digitize quickly, seamlessly, and fast. This software is built for speed, it's built for accuracy, and on a production level, I think I'm probably faster in this software than I have been in anything that I've used in the past. And I've used, commercial standard software for decades, and we've built something I think that is a stronger, faster engine. Now, here is the key though, is it's all about the theory, and I'm talking about before we even had software, we had mechanical punching 1 stitch at a time, and that is the theory that I think is the foundation that you need to have as an embroiderer or as a digitizer for any program that you use. So our resources and our strength is, obviously having a great program, but also having great education and theory to back it up. Not just learning the program, but learning how the stitches and stitch types actually work. And we have tons of resources, including our Digitizer's Dream Workshop, where if you're thinking about learning how to digitize, it's a great opportunity for you to get in there for a 2-week period. You have a full featured system that allows you to save all the designs you do, and you can, play and sew before you actually decide if this is something for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed a bit of the historical fact of it, but I hope you also like myself, am addicted to technology. Anything that I can find that'll make me faster, that's a win. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I guess I can take the pen from behind my ear because I really don't need this anymore, but it kind of feels natural. So see you next time.